each other.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. This is Logistical Nightmare Sim Racing, back to you on a Wednesday night where we have our console boys racing at Kyalami, a phenomenal South African track in the wets in GT4s. Now, what a challenge. I don't know who thought about this, whose mad idea is it, but these boys are busy doing their outlap, flying lap. You can see everyone is catching it up. boys are out there. They've done one lap. So we are expecting to see some good qualifying lap times coming out of them within the next 2 minutes or so. I don't think it's going to be the best of the best, but it's setting that benchmark, getting your lap as clear and as perfect as possible, because you then have to do a flyer and put it on the table. Now, with Kyalami, I don't know, it's gonna be quite tricky. I'd love to see some boys hitting it in the 59s, maybe a 158. I mean, I'm holding thumbs for like phenomenal laps. I do believe I'm going to get that, because there's some boys back on track. Mr. Pace, the man himself, coming back from the previous season, didn't join us on the last race at Monza. Good to see him back in action, and again in a very, very different car to what he's used to and accustomed to. And I mean, Pace normally drives something from a mid-engine to rear engine. This season he's coming out with a front wheel or front engine packed Chevy, which is just going to be spectacular to see. And of course his teammate, if I do remember correctly, is Mr. Popcorn, also in a Chevy. So these two boys are coming out to play, and I'm expecting good times with them. Mr. Jazz off the plate, look at that. Didn't do anything special last week. Had a horrible race, in all fairness. I think Jazz just struggled to put a lap time down, and so did Skitty. Off the bench with him as well, a 59.4. So the target is set. I didn't even think we would see anything within that vicinity on your second outlap in a GT4 car with heavy pouring rain in a South African track. Welcome to the boys on the stream. Again, I've got to go big ups and big thanks to you boys. So let me just take a peek here. Hannes, hi there. Mr. Paul, how's it? Project JR, aka Jacques Vermeulen. Hey man, anyone else that is on the chat, feel free just to pop in. Even if you just say hi, if I can see it, I'll probably give you a shout out. But then again, let's go back onto where we are from a qualifying standpoint. These boys are definitely smashing it out. KLM pace, or LNR pace in the Chevy. New benchmark record of a 159.355. That is just epic. That's so close to my wishful, hopeful benchmark thinking of a 58. So I think this is just going to be an epic race. And again, the guys that smashed it out last week, from recollection, I think I recall Anthony or Mr. GTI, as everyone knows. Oh, speak of the devil, and look at that, out of the box. Where did this come from? Last week, unknown man, out of the blue, joins the console community races. Didn't take pole position, was that close last week taking his pole position, but then in the second race during the Porsche Cup at Monza, he took victory. So today he just comes back in a bang and smashes it with a 59.2, the fastest lap at the moment. And I'm gonna go and have a look at Mr. RTA Fluffy, because I'm expecting him to do magnificently well. Yes, that's my 58. Unbelievable. I wanted it, we wanted it, and there it is. More than half a second quicker, and Pace brings it back in also. 58.033 of a second. That is marginal. That is so marginal between the two. The big question I have is, the other boys gonna bring it up to the plates, aka DMR GTY, Mr. Skitty. There's so many people that I expect to see up there. Dave with his Aston, running the beautiful black, grey, orange livery colors. That is just prominent LNR colors. I think he still needs a bit of white there, but that is just me. But the hint of orange with the overall black is just absolutely beautiful. Robin Dobbin, a man known for his consistency, competes a lot. I do know that he loves this Chevy. And he did phenomenally well with this one 2 seasons ago. So being in first place, top spot, just ahead of Jazz, who was the first individual that smashed a good lap. Is Jazz going to improve? Yes, Jazz does improve. He has no more time. Does push him into fourth position. So I do wonder what the other boys like Dave is going to do. He's on the final corner. Will we see a better lap out from him? Improves to third positions, hitting it right there and then. Then, of course, I've got to keep an eye out on Mr. GTI. Now, again, he's still got a lap, so he did finish within the time frame for him to finish it off. So 2 minutes for him. Can he improve? Can Fluffy improve? Fluffy is still hitting it up the bank in our fantastic, what we call a Leeuwkop corner. Oh, gotta time that corner so well. One of the most trickiest corner at Kyalami. That is besides the up and coming one that we call Cheetah, which is just it will ruin your race, ruin your career, probably send you tails between your leg back to the pit stops. GTI, can he improve? Fluffy gave up, thought about it, don't think he can. I do hope Mr. GTI is on a flyer. He came in to impress last week. This week he's in the top 5. He's got to be on a good time considering that he's still running the laps. That last corner, did he make an effort? Did it work for him? Definitely does. Doesn't do that much. Still brings it up in the top 4. So, in all fairness, let's just go back. Let's look at this timetable, scheduling, qualifying. Fluffy, man of the day, brings it to the plate with a Porsche. A Porsche GT4 in wet conditions at Kyalami with a 158.5, followed by Eleanor Pace, Eleanor Dave, DMR GTI, Robin Dobbin in first. And that is a phenomenal place for Robin. Uh, DMRE Jazz 126. He came in 6th. Skitty in 7th. Unusual for him to be there. But probably the best location, I think. I mean, let's hope for the best thing. He's quick, and he always out qualifies a lot of people on track. Rain might not be his thing, but settling him there in between the top 10, I think consistency here is going to be key. Is he going to bring it to the table? Is he just going to focus, not spin out? And I don't think it's going to be that easy because, again, from word of the mouth, the GT3 cars on Kyalami is just absolutely awful, horrendously awful. So I don't think the GT4s are that great. But where he is from a position standing point, that is a phenomenal drive for him. Then we have Mulgari in 8th. RTA Clay is in 9th. Closing off the top 10 is Dancy. Then we have Eleanor Checo P with his Porsche in 11th. Fireblade in 12th. Popcorn in 13th. Jay Doble in 14th. 15th, Lionel Messi. Then we have RTA JD Dog in 16th. 17th is Kale. 18th is OMR Wim Charlie. 19th is BRNTZ with his Aston Martin. And then last but not least, Mr. OJJTS in 20th. So, in all fairness, it looks like a few guys struggled a bit. NTZ didn't get the best lap. Maybe just got a banker in there, couldn't fully complete it. OJJ, the same for him. Then we have Charlie and Pace. Struggled a little bit, still good times in the 201s. Everyone else is in the 2 minutes. And then, in all fairness, 11th all the way down is probably within a second. So realistically, I think this is going to be challenging. Outright a challenge. Anything goes. Slight taps, slight bumps, slight nicks, game changer. That's just what it is. What? I think tonight's the night we're going to see some more epic racing. That is for sure. Um, how that will unfold is yet to come to play. And at the same time, I'm probably going to mute myself a couple of times because I'm, for those that can hear the difference or don't want to hear the difference, I'm sitting up with a terrible flu. Just not the best ideal circumstances of where we are. My voice will be crushed, destroyed, damaged, and murdered. But we're going to do this race. We are going to do this race. Qualifying standpoints again. Looking at these guys, they are going for their warm-up, outlap, ready to hit the race. Assetto Mutua is shouting out there for Skitty. I think you got best bets there, Skitty. I'll hold thumbs. It has a good race. It's up all the bad karma is away. The bad karma. Just get them out of the way. Wet races is where racecraft is needed, is required. Running down. Okay, back into it. And have a centralized look at these boys. Fluffy with that beautiful Porsche. Space right behind him with a Chevy. Dave closely followed with an Aston Martin. Robin with a Chevy. Aston Martin. And of course, the second mid-range rear engine car is the Skitty in 7th, Mark Gary in 8th, RTA in 9th. Cars look lovely. Look at those liveries. Probably standard liveries because you're in the console community and the guys can't really flare it up and point it up. But I mean, the color choices of these boys are phenomenal. Oranges, blues, whites, yellows. It's just absolutely crazy, stunning. Stunning. Okay, so now I'm gonna hopefully get this right throughout the race, and it's often very difficult. I've made a rule of thumb for myself is to learn track corners for all the races. I love driving, love sim racing. Terrible with names, absolutely awful. Even from a personal perspective, I'm absolutely hideously awful. But I'm gonna get it right. So, boys are going side by side. This is where we're going to start seeing action. Everyone following the same trend. We are getting ready for the race start. Final few corners. Again, just to get it into perspective, that is the crocodile, and then this is the infamous cheetah, followed by Ingwe. And then we're going to go down the straight where all the action is going to happen at Crowthorne. And now again, that's corner 1, followed by EXK, Barbecue, Sunset, and Clubhouse. Seen a couple of boys coming up into the chats. So we got still Project, still Mutua there, Hannes van der Sant. It feels like I'm sniffing and I shouldn't, but apologies. Drive race start has started. These boys are down the straight line, heading into Crowthorne. Is this going to be a scenario whereby we are going to have like 20 guys wide? Fluffy, not really in a defensive mode, goes as wide as he can to allow space. Oh no, that is Pace. Pace is outclassed Fluffy. Fluffy went into defense, but that didn't happen. Pace went out wide and took him by storm. Now he's definitely got Dave on his tail. And this is all about how did we get How do you warm up your tires? How do you figure out race stuff? Telemetries are picking up. It's gonna take a while before I understand who's who, where's who picked up where. And again, as the race merges and continues, pace is off there in the distance. Dave is chasing down Fluffy. Good battle going on. Now that behind him is Mr. Jazz. Still looks very clean in all fairness. Boys are very closely packed. I mean, there's action packed everywhere. And this is where you have to drive smart, be smart, do smart things. These guys can't just have an accident and then think that they can go back into the pit stop, do a pit, and then it's all done and dusted. Mandatory pit stop, tire change required, 50 minutes of serious racing. Boys, heading down to my shaft, into Crocodiles. Pace far ahead of the pack. He's literally just created a 1 second gap. The man is on form. Now, this is where it's going to start counting. Does that Chevy have the legs to move and create a bigger gap to that Aston? But again, everyone's still tightly much. Pit lane open, pit lane open. How did that work? Something went wrong with the settings. Something went wrong with the settings. Ideally, what we wanted is to figure out that the pit lane opens properly, but I don't think that has happened today. Just look at this fantastic gap from pace, setting it out from the word go. Leads by a second. Dave in third, Jazz in fourth, Skitty there in fifth, GTI in sixth, Dancy 7, Mulgary in 8th. So a couple of positions here and there. Does look very comfortable in that Chevy. These boys have created a bit of a gap to the guys behind them. I do wonder what has happened. The GTI is about 5 seconds adrift there, which is very unusual. I mean, that is a big loss of space in a short amount of time, but he's got severe pressure behind him, which is Dancy followed by Mulgary, followed by Lionel, followed by Popcorn, then PRT, Kale, they Dog, they Doble, Wim Charlie, OJJ, Clayton, Checo, Fireblade, and then of course Robert Dobbin way there at the back. And that's not what I expected. I really wonder what happened to Robin. That's not a good start for him. The man was in fifth from a qualifying standpoint. What happened? Unsure. But from a standing back, 1 to 5 has broken away. They have literally created a 4 second delta deficit between themselves and these boys battling it out. I still don't know why the pit lane is open. Ideally, we wanted the pit lane to open 10 minutes after race start, and then of course 10 minutes before race finish. I think somewhere the calculation went wrong, unless I screwed it up completely, which is very possible. I really don't understand how I get it right on one end, but I don't get it right on the other end. Boys talking on the stream about PC. It is just absolutely epic fun. But these boys in the console side of it are battling it out tonight. Tonight it's the fight of the big dogs. And again, we've got all of them here. Pace, Fluffy, Jazz, Dave. And some other weird form, Jazz has made a move on Dave. So Dave has snuck down one behind. He now does have Skitty on his tail end. Looking at the front runners coming up into Lukop. Skitty looking on the inside there by Dave. Dave closes the door. That does force Skitty to go a bit of curb hunting, which is probably not the best line for him, because if you mess that up, your car is just going to tail end. Fluffy on the other end. Oh, my camera is just taking so slow. Fluffy, on the other hand, has now created a slight gap between him and Jazz. He's now chasing down pace, and he's got to be careful. That was a close call on there by Cheetah. A bit too much curb on Cheetah will just destroy you. I am yet to see who will survive that, and I don't think anyone wants to be that guy. Robin in the pits. I think because the pit lane is open, he can probably do what needs to be done and get it all done and dusted. Dancy chasing down GTI. Two Astons back to back into Crowthorne. Still too far away to actually make a move. He's got to get himself very settled in. GTI looks comfortable, well poised. We still don't know how. He has, at some other point, got a 5-second deficit to the boys ahead of him. Something had to have happened at some other point. Back at the grid, Lionel Messi and the leading Merc. Now again, that Merc looks beautiful. I've got to admit, that hint of white with the red and the black looks absolutely stunning. Lionel Messi, new to LNR, looking good tonight. Seems like he's got a better race. Didn't really enjoy the last one at Monza. Struggled with the Cup car. Tonight he's back on form. Definitely way more comfortable from a racing standpoint in the GT4s on wet conditions. Again, not the easiest conditions you can get. Robin's still in the pits. I don't think Robin's going to continue. He seems to be a very, very unfortunate, and I would guess, unhappy man. Can Lionel close the gap between himself and Mulgary? That seems to be not very possible. Merc lost a bit of speed down there in the second sector. Going very wide there through to Crocodile. That is excessively wide. That is going to cost a lot of time. Ooh, jumps the curb there on Cheetah. Lucky man, lucky man. Someone's going to make a big mistake. But then again, I mean, some would say that these GT4s are very curb friendly. So I'm yet to figure out if that is true. Haven't really tested it in these conditions, but it does look like epic fun. Dave losing another position there. He was in third, started in third, all the way down now to 5th place. Sitting behind Skitty. Had to have missed that passing opportunity to figure out where it is, but it doesn't look like Dave is going to let him go. It's all about settling the nerves and getting it all done and dusted, making your move count, or work for it for the long run. I mean, you gotta go for it now, or you just settle in the race, focus on your laps, get your consistency out there. Don't know how that is physically possible, because I mean, let's see if we can figure out how it looks like for these boys. I mean, look at that. Now to me, this looks like this man has got, this is using some bonnet view. This is not in-car view. A man is using a bonnet view or something, because those wipers are not working. Or, as we would think, my streaming capabilities is not picking it up. But those wipers are definitely not on. That is for sure. I cannot see it. Bumper view, nothing wrong with that. I mean, we are not yet to judge. Not here at all. Let's look at where the action is. Keeping a close eye look on everyone else. Jade Doble looking fantastic though. Pit window still tells me it's open. Don't know how, but it is. Now there's 3 cars going into a corner, and I don't think too wide into Cheetah is the best move. No, that Porsche humps it, and he's got an Aston between him. So who made the mistake? Is that Kale? Probably. So I'm assuming that Jade Doble has made a position up with Kale. Telemetries will pick up. Yes, that is the case. Kale VDP had to have made a mistake at some point. He is now the guy chasing down J Doble. J Doble under severe pressure. Ooh, that looked a bit nasty and bumpy. I don't exactly know what happened, but that seemed to be like a punt to pass scenario, or whether it's just wasn't sure whether to take the corner. Felt like he might have made a mistake. Could have been some lag thing. Again, it's very hard to judge. These boys are racing from South Africa. Servers are sitting in the UK side of it. Hence, what we can see is the ping is a bit high. But nonetheless, at least we can have some magnificent racing. I'm thoroughly enjoying this. Oh, Gary doing phenomenally well this evening. He is on point. Struggled just as much last week with the Porsche Cup, coming to play tonight, challenging for that position in 7th. He is all over the back of Dancy. Dancy not so long ago challenged GTI for position. Now he's fallen back a bit, but that could have been by a mistake. Something had to have happened. Still big battles happening in the front of the pack, boys coming down the straight. This is the race leader, Alan R. Pace, who now for some weird reason has got a 2.5 second delta over Mr. RTA Fluffy Butt in his Porsche. I think, to be fair, I really believe that this Chevy is magnificent in the rain. It's just so solid. It's what I would call the boat of the Bentley. This is the Bentley of the GT4s. It's so big, so huge, so heavy. Such a lovely engine. I mean, just listen to it. Just listen. A beautiful, beautiful sound. I thoroughly love listening to this car. It's just absolutely spectacular. But going back to the race itself, Eleanor Dave, he is now challenging Jazz. He's gonna take the inside line. Does look like he's got it all hook up. Can he hit his brake marker? Takes the line. Jazz goes very wide. Can Jazz do a full undercut, back in cut? Not really. Looks like a magnificent move by Dave. Takes his position back. He's still got 2 more to go. 1 more, because he's got Skitty ahead of him, who has moved up quite a bit there. But what a move by Dave. On point. Jazz had to have made a mistake for him to drop that far. I mean, that is 2 positions lost there for Jazz. Probably smashing that steering wheel, going like, no, focus, zone in, zone out. GTI is still there. Gary is still there. Him and Lionel Messi are battling it out. And of course, we've got Dancy there in the mix. And somehow Dancy and his Aston Martin has been in a position to keep himself ahead of the pack. Lionel Messi does make it up here or there. And then again, a couple of guys have been into the pits. So we had J Doble in the pits. He's done and dusted. 34 minutes to go. OJJ in the pits also. He has jumped Kyle VDB, which is probably a good big up for him. And then we've got Fireblade in 19th position. That's a bit odd to see him there. I'm really not sure what happened, but for some other weird reason, I kind of feel like something happened between Fireblade and Robin Dobbin. I mean, if we go back from a qualifying standpoint, just looking at the boys, Robin Dobbin qualified 5th, Fireblade qualified 12th, and within the first 20 minutes of the race, Robin Dobbin remains to be in the pits. He hasn't come out at all. Ideally, I would say he's blowing off a lot of steam, and that is absolutely unfortunate. Once you have 2 incidents back-to-back races, it just gets detrimental. Mentally, it's just that hard to actually motivate yourself to come back. For keeping me centered here. So Jazz and Dave are teammates. Now that kind of makes sense now. That's sort of why they're rotating so much. I mean, I don't understand what's the focal point by rotating here. You let the one go, you let the other one go. But yes, you are 100% right. I should have picked it up purely because of the car and color choices. It looks identical. Yes, that is 2 teammates battling it out. One is the Hamilton, the other one is the Bottas. The question is, who is the Bottas? And thus far it looks like it is Mr. Dave. He is letting Jazz go, and even when Jazz mocks it up, he opens the door and tells his teammates to go fetch and chase that man down, get the results. It's all about team racing. Team versus team works on a scenario whereby 2 teammates join up to compete against each other. Yes, we all want to have individual races, but this is all about team championship point. It's not about driver championship point. We can all be that fast guy. We can all be the one that is phenomenally quick. If you can rack up a teammate that is as quick as you, then that's a beautiful win-win situation. But then you got to put it down on race day. The guys that are putting it down on consistencies, getting those higher points, getting it down, those are the ones that are going to make it. Mulcahy on his car, that does look like a bit of a damaged Aston. Doesn't seem like he's got a lot of pace, and he is going to let it go. NTZ does grab that position, and then of course we still got Popcorn in the pits as well. I haven't really seen him or spoken that much about him. Dave very close again, passing move on his teammate. I do wonder what goes on. In between the pits, talking to these guys, like their race director has got to go like, guys, get it on, like really. One leads, one follows. Who is the leader and who is the follower? You guys fighting each other all the time, losing position. Is that the case scenario? I'd love to know. I actually need to get maybe one of them in the pit, in the box and speak to them, figure out what the hell is happening. Clayton, the man in the Porsche, RTA Clayton, and I believe he. Working on colors, and thanks to Mr. Paul on the stream, keeping me chilled and corrected and on point. He would be teammate of RTA Fluffy, who is currently in 2nd position. Still trying to chase down Pace. Pace hasn't managed to create a big wide gap. But there is a bit of a buffer for him. All looking well. Boys that have put it so far from 14th place up till 19th. I pray they have a bit of clear air. Mulcahy had to go and do a couple of repairs. That sort of makes sense why he sits where he is. I would have expected him to be ahead of J Doble. But that ain't the case. That Aston looks brand spanking new. Back to Skitty. Looking realistically good from his standpoint. I mean, I am pleasantly surprised this evening because Skitty, since I've started this whole commentating thing, I think this man has had very few good races. And I think where he qualified tonight is just set the benchmark for him. It's a great qualifying. It isn't spectacular. Didn't go for pole. Didn't have the pressure of people behind him chasing him down, looking over his shoulder. He's just done everything right so far this evening. Kept his nose clean. Moved all the way from 7th position. He's now currently in 3rd. That is a potential podium for him, which is phenomenal. That's a good race. So I do hold thumbs that this is going to be a fantastic one for him, and a boost of confidence for the next one. The first 2 races definitely did not go his way. I think he was in the same position as what Robin is at the present moment in the pits, and I do feel for them. It does look like a backmarker there. I'm not 100% sure who that is. I'm suspecting that it's potentially either OJJ. No, that is Mr. Eleanor Kale VDB base, teammate of, I suspect, J Dogo OJJ. Just purely because of their color schemes, it looks the same, it is the same, it might be the same. Fluff. Still in 2nd, looking fantastic. Car looks beautiful. Rock solid through there. Lost a bit of time, but I would assume that's purely because the boys are running past back market there. I mean, anything can happen. Kitty made up a bit of time there. Now the boys behind them have to filter through all those back markers. DTI in his Aston. Again, that's kind of a beautiful line into Sunset, and then Clubhouse. Oh, it's just one of those corners where you got to get it right. I think the most difficult one for me is these S's. It's as tricky as can be. Got to hit your brake marker, let the car settle, turn it in over the curb in dry conditions, not in the wet one. Because too much curb is going to make you spin, and then get on the throttle as quickly as possible, because you need as much momentum in any given state to get up to Leeuwkop. And then Leeuwkop for me is one of those where I still need to figure out how to get that corner right. Some say you need to have a board marker braking point, others say you need to go in out wide, others say go in sharp early exit. If you guys on the stream have any good tips, then feel free, pop it out, send it this way, send it this way. Fluffy in the pits, Skitty in the pits. Ooh, Aston in the wall. Now that is not the most ideal conditions, but that is almost an ending scenario. Who was that? OJJ. Absolutely awful. He is going to be gutted. That front end is going to be damaged. Aero damage all the way through. Fluffy still in the pits. Skitty in the pits. It's all about who made the best pit stop decision here. Guys are doing what they can do at any given moment. Eleanor Pace leading by 7 seconds versus Dave. More than 7, that's close to about 8 seconds. So he is really putting on the pace. Hence the name. And then Jazz has dropped down about 2 seconds to Dave there. So not his best. Struggling a little bit. Now look at that. That is a pit stop. This is the difference between a pit stop. These two boys went in same time. One got it right, one got it missed. Skitty was about a second behind. 1 second behind Fluffy, and now it's within a few hundredths of a second. He had to be very gutted coming out of the pits, realizing that he just didn't make enough time. But probably had a big smile on his face, going like, I've got this. I gotta put it down. Fluffy A man that can handle pressure. Very accustomed to ACC these days. Came from the GT Sport era back into ACC. Took a bit of time off to get composed, get the physics under the belt, and he's just smashing it everywhere he goes. And we definitely expect to see a lot of great things from this man. I can for sure tell that. I mean, with the tags of RTA is just phenomenal. That alone tells you that there's good pace. And all these boys are part of their own individual teams, but it's good to see that them competing one another. DTI in the pits, Lionel Messi in the pits. And only I'm excessively excited, but I'm trying to be very cautious about my voice this evening. 23 minutes of racing still to go. Taking a sip here and there, just to soothe the tonsils. I don't know if it's just me, but my sound is very low on my end. But I do hope. Hey guys, just give it a check up there. If the sound quality is bad, just let me know. Maybe it's just me because I'm adjusting my headset as I speak. Charlie now officially in the pits. Front running boys still continuing on. Good competition. Ooh, not 100% sure what happened there, but that does look like Popcorn went very wide into that corner. He looks unsettled as it is. Coming down the straight, that is a broken bumper. No arrow on that man at all. He is not a happy chappy. I don't know what happened, but he is slowing down excessively, allowing the people to go and past him. He just doesn't have the pace. That is damage. Damage that one doesn't want, and he's gonna nurse that car all the way back to the pits and then get it repaired. Missed that, but whew, does not look good. Not at all. Doble, on the other hand, is the man on the move. He has picked up phenomenal pace. He went to the pits very early, came out with a lot of clean air, subsequently made some positions up. He is now sitting behind RTA Kate, and so Porsche versus Porsche, both in the same manufacturer. Now it's all about getting the right stuff on track. Right stuff. Just get the basics done. Focus on brakes, your brake markers. Focus on your apexes. Get onto the throttle as quickly as you can in the wettest conditions possible. And nail it. Lionel Messi, also a man in challenging there. Now, based on the telemetry, she should be about a second off NTZ. That sort of looks like more than a second to me. Something hasn't picked up. So Lionel Messi has made some move on NTZ. I don't know what it was. Again, telemetry takes a bit of time to pick it up. GTI is 22 seconds adrift. He is a man on his own. Like, not Messi behind him, but very, very far away from the individuals ahead of him. They will still battling it out. Top boys in the pits. So 4 front runners in the pits. And then go back to Fluffy. I'd love to see where these boys come out. Fluffy was in second place. Did lose a bit of time coming out of the pits because Kitty was right behind him. Now again, that can only be about a second of a loss. KLM looked phenomenally well. Dave seems to be off the jacks. Pace is off the jacks. DMR Jazz is off the jacks. Fluffy Butt coming down the straight. Drive through for pit lane speeding. That is Dave. I cannot express how unfortunate that is, but and this is what has happened. Undercut of the century. Both Fluffy and Skitty has leapfrogged Eleanor Pace. Now, did Pace make a mistake coming into the pits and coming out? Did he lose time in the pits? That is the bigger question. Now, in all fairness, he is going to be on cold tires, which is going to be hard for him to get that momentum back, but he is aggressive. He wants that position back. He is probably as shocked as what I am and you are as to how he has lost so much positions. Fluffy, new leader of the race. Skitty in second, ahead of Pace. And again, Skitty is cool and calm and collected under pressure. This is where it matters. 20 minutes of racing left, and this is where it's going to count. Dave is just going to fall off the radar with that drive-through penalty that he got. Speeding in the pit lane. Got it for the man. Action all round. Unbelievable. Who would have called it? I wouldn't. This is just unreal. Did not believe that an undercut would be that detrimental on a track like this. Because these guys put it way before Pace. And Pace was doing phenomenal lap times before the pit stop. I mean, he was gapping Dave probably by about half a second a lap. So it's not like his speed was slow. It's probably just that poor pit lane entry didn't hit your marker or your box. Lost a couple of seconds there, which is what occurred with Fluffy. But Fluffy is leading the race. 16 minutes left to go. Dave is in the pits doing his drive-through. Doesn't look like he's going to lose that much. Maybe just time. Yeah, that definitely just looks like time lost. Now, luckily for him, he made up all the time needed in the first stint before the pit stop. So, not as detrimental as what I thought it would be, but he is way closer to GTI as what I would think he wanted to be. Pace and Skitty fighting it out. This is the action that I do want to keep an eye out, although I can see more action everywhere else. That is Mr. Dog and Checo in the Porsche right behind him. His fellow teammate is trying to chase down Clayton. So these two teammates, Checo and J Double Pace, giving it beans. Now, of course, RTHA Dog is teammate of the Skitty. So he needs to maximize all the points he can get tonight to make it count and get the idealistic scenario from a race finish. Oh, now that looked to me quickly that slight incident there by Skitty made a sudden rub. Now that Chevy is going to be all over him. This is all about outright pace. Skitty immediately going on the defense. He wants the inside line. If Pace is going to make the move, he needs to do that on the outer side. Doesn't seem like Pace is going for it. What he's heading into barbecue. This is now where it counts. Is his exit good enough? Does seem like it. Pace is still over the back of him into Sunset. Both of these cars will have a different entry to the track. You can see that Chevy is way quicker coming out of Sunset. Not going to make the move now. Brakes too early. He's getting going very wide. He is unsettled, that's for sure. Calming the nerves, taking a bit too much curb than what I would expect him to do in that McLaren. Again, a car that doesn't really love this track. You can immediately see how that Chevy is way quicker coming out of the S's. Now, as this battle continues, Skitty again back into the immediate defense, takes the inside line, realizes that pace is not there, brings it back on the racing line. Pace wanting to stick his nose in there, not gonna happen this time. Skitty closes the door on him. Well and respectful driving between these two. Oh, Skitty taking another big hit there on Cheetah. That's not going to help him in the long run. At some point, Pace is going to realize it and then going to capitalize. And that's the last thing he wanted. Again, coming out of the corner there by Ingwe, sorry. Skitty instantly goes into a defense. He knows that Chevy is quick, but some of a strange reason, down the whole straight line, that McLaren is actually quite quick. I mean, I didn't expect that. On the straight, I would believe that the Chevy is probably faster than the McLaren, but I mean, this could all be set up. This could all be my imagination. I could be dreaming all of this. Let's see if we can get some close real-time opposition. Oh. Listen to that standing water. Getty going way wider out of the S's than what is. That looks like an inside look. Makes Getty aware that he is there. Now, as these two boys battle, DMRE Jazz, not far away from them, is going to close the gap. Because again, the more these boys battle, the further they are from the leader. And at this stage, they are 4 seconds down. 4 seconds of loss. This is what a battle is costing you. Anything's open. Pit window's still open. It's going to be open for the remainder of about another window. And again, some of the guys have pitted already, so that's all good. No one has made any errors on that tonight. Danny having a consistent race. Now, who's Danny? Dancy? When we say Danny Hannes, is that Dancy? Because he's looking good, man. He's in 7th, if that's the individual you are referring to. And this battle is just spectacular. Pace knows he's quicker. But this is Kyalami. This is harder to pass than probably any of the tracks I know. And most of these tracks in ACC is you gotta set it up. You gotta force your opposition to make a mistake. Or at some point make an adventurous move, hoping you could pull it off. But this is getting closer. By looking at it, Daz is sneaking up on these boys. That Aston is now less than 2 seconds away from Pace. Now Pace has sneaked back a bit. Doesn't really think he's recuperating. Hannes, Dancy, yes, good point, man. Thanks for that one. Let's go look at the match. Dancy has been phenomenal. Dancy with his Aston. Come camera angles, let's pick it up. Let's go to Dancy. That is very true. Dancy has been very good. I mean, qualified 10th. That is phenomenal drive there by Dancy. In all fairness, in 7th position, solid as a rock, keeping Lionel Messi behind him, putting down the laps as best as he can. And that to me is a spectacular drive. By all means, the man is solid. Good catch there, Hannes. Yeah, I need more eyes. I need people to look out for me. Give me some individuals who you think is driving phenomenally. Tate Doble is all over the back there of Clayton. Now again, these Porsches have been battling it out for quite a while. RT8 Clayton has kept Tate Doble behind him. Is good. Fireblade and Wim Charlie battling it out there. Chevy versus Mercedes. It does look like Fireblade is ahead of Wim Charlie. Boys are looking good. Fireblade doing a lot better this time around. I still don't know what happened. I'd love to get a better understanding of what really happened there, but I don't believe Fireblade and Robin should be where they are tonight. Something had to have happened to create a big accident. Back to the action. This is where it is. A lap down. Eleanor Pace stood back a bit. Regrouped. Now it's about him to figure out what to do. Now that regrouping, I'm not 100% sure what happened. I mean, they seem to have picked up a bit of pace and closing the gap to Fluffy there. 3 seconds is not a lot, but 3 seconds for 7 minutes is very doable. We've got a 4-way battle going on here in between these individuals, aka Fluffy, Skitty, and Pace. And then we have DMRE Jazz not far away. I mean, he has come back with a bang, with a big bang. Again, Skitty going on the inside line, very defensive. Pace decided to stick with him this time. Just doesn't have it. I don't know what it is, but it seems like that Chevy is well set up for corners. It is phenomenal going through the sectors, but the minute there is a long straight, it just cannot keep up with the McLaren. And is giving me the inside info. So there was a T1 incident on lap 1. That is absolutely unfortunate. It's so sad to hear that we have T1 accidents on lap 1. It shouldn't be the case. It really shouldn't. Now, it is racing, it is incident, and it does occur. So, at the best and at the worst times, accidents happen. Someone misses a brake marker, someone outbrakes himself, someone thinks that they are closer to the individual, they are not as close to the individual as what they think they are, and then a bit of fender bending occurs, and then in these conditions, I mean, it will turn your car. It's very hard to keep it on track with cold tires, GT4s in the rains. It's difficult just driving it. So this is now really going to get interesting. These 3 boys are going to battle it out for sure. Oh, Skitty. Looking good. Pace. Got a bit of cheetah there on him. I do think that Chevy is big enough and has enough grunt to handle that big banana curve. It just doesn't have the pace coming down the straight. Time and time again, it just looks like pace drops by miles. It's like that the McLaren just pulls away. And now he's got the Aston all over it, and I'm fairly sure that Aston is not slow going down the straight. We might have a bit of a competition in the next lap or 2, whereby Pace has to go on the defense and he has to keep his eye open for the guy behind him. is these three boys are within 3 seconds of each other. 3 seconds is not a lot. Pace making a bit of mistake there again. Does he feel the pressure? Is he realizing that he's got a man behind him, gonna challenging him for position? That makes him go on the defense. Ooh, Skitty going very wide there. That does open the door there for Pace. Can Pace capitalize on it? Not realistically. Jazz makes a big mistake coming out of Lukop. Not what he would have wanted. Now he's got to work all the way back to that. That leaves a bit of breathing room for Pace. Pace taking the inside line. This is going to be too wide into Cheetah. No, Pace tucks in behind Skitty. Both of them climb the curve, unsettles their car into Ingwe, and we're back to where we sit it. What an exciting sector 3 and 2 that was. Skitty immediately goes onto the defense. He knows by now his car is way quicker down the straight than what Pace is. It just looks like that Chevy has no legs. No legs. Checo. What happened, Checo? I did not see that. You explain to me. I see you in the pits at this moment. Why are you in the pits? Oh, slight touch there by Pace. That spins Skitty around. Definitely not meant. What good driving etiquette there by Pace to go, sorry, that is my fault. Sit back and relaxes. Gives the position back to Skitty. How he recovered on that was phenomenal. That was a slight touch, and that turned the car around. That is how soft one needs to be. That slight incident just changes the whole dilemma. But that opened the door there for Jazz. Jazz, a man who was in 4th, is now running in 2nd. A new ultimate high for him. Will he bend under pressure? That's the big question. Pace has got to be gutted for that slight incident. Again, well driven and great respect shown there by the man. Slowing down, acknowledging an accident, and then letting the guy recover and drive. Thankfully, it wasn't that serious and they didn't lose a lot of time, but in all fairness, incidents does happen at some point. We all make mistakes. It's how do we learn from it? How do we make it better? How do we not make it happen the next time? I mean, it's racing, it's competition. We are hardball. The heart is pumping. The blood veins is rising. The sweat is dripping. We want to win. Jay Doble smashed in between these boys. Mulgary looking phenomenally good. I mean, Clayton has just been on point. Now my camera doesn't want to pick it up. There we go. Clayton's been on point the whole night, keeping J Double and Mulgary at bay, maintaining that in position. A guy by the surprise of me, NTZ. Now I didn't expect this. This is probably going to be one of his best race finishes if he can keep it up. That is a phenomenal drive by this man. Haven't even featured him at all during the race. What an unfortunate. Lovely Aston though. I love that color. Him and Dancy, being the two boys of teammates, I would suspect, are going to score big this time. Lionel Messi right there in the middle between these two individuals. Not intimidated because he's got a big gap between himself and, of course, NTZ. GTI, still a man on his own. Eleanor Dave, a man on his own. Probably the Bottas between him and Jazz. Made a slight incident, probably had the race. Drive-through penalty did cost him a lot. Leader is on the final lap. This is the final couple of corners for the race leader. Coming down into Mineshaft, heading into turn 13, aka Crocodile. Leveling it out into Cheetahs and then closing it off with Ingwe down the straight. The man did everything right today. Settled lovely behind Eleanor Pace, went into the pits earlier, capitalized on that and took the victory. What a drive. What an absolute phenomenal drive by this man. This is 2 race victories for him. DMRE Jazz in 2nd position. Great drive overall. It does look like Pace made a move. He is in 3rd. Skitty currently in 4th. Fantastic race by these boys. What a phenomenal drive. Dave in 5th. He's going to head out by Dancy, or GTI is in 6th, Dancy in 7th, Lionel Messi in 8th, NTZ in 9th. He's still got 1 more corner for him to close off. Then we got Clayton coming down in 10th. Now he's being heavily chased down by J Double. Oh, I'm multitasking and I shouldn't be. Trying to do 15 things at once, which I shouldn't have been doing. I mean, ideally, I should just focus on what I need to do, focus. But what a race by the guys. Nonetheless, who we got? Charlie still finishing it off in 14th. My apologies for that one. Fireblade in 15th, not far beyond him. I think that concludes the race. I think that is a phenomenal, spectacular race. Have to admit it. Yes, we had some unfortunate incidents here or there. Fluffy Butt taking the victory. Jazz in 2nd. Pace in 3rd. Skitty in 4th. Dave in 5th. GTI in 6th. Dancy, phenomenal race by him in 7th. Lionel in 8th. NTZ in 9th. Good race. And then closing it off in the top 10 with RTA Clayton. I think that was just a spectacular race by the individuals. Now I want to see if I can get a couple of boys here. Might be a bit tricky in all essence, because I think they would be out of breath in all fairness, because it was just a spectacular, phenomenal race. So let's see who pops in first. Oh, all of the boys in. All of the boys are in. Now I gotta prep myself. All about preparation. Gentlemen, gentlemen, and gentlemen. I'm going to kick it off with... I don't even know who to kick it off with. I have no clue. Let's go, Mr. DMRE Jazz. You have placed yourself in 2nd position. And a big congrats for that, man, because I think that's probably your first podium within the LNR community on ACC. So big ups on that one. My question to you, and I know, and I believe, LNR Dave is your teammate. So, who is Hamilton and who is Bottas? Nope, I lost him. I lost him. Pace, back up to you. I hope you want to talk to me.
Hi, Rocky.
Hey, man. I have just one question. Just one. How did you go from 1st to 3rd coming out of the pits?
So when I went into the pits, Robin was directly behind my pit box, so I couldn't really see the stopping board. So I kind of went past it and had to reverse back.
Just one of those.
Yeah.
Oh, got it, man. Absolutely got it. You looked phenomenal. You really looked phenomenal tonight, because out of the box you qualified 2nd. You came down the straight line in corner 1 and just took that wider line, took the entry, got the lead, raced the lead, and then you have this in pit lane detrimental scenario that just pushed you back to 3rd. Wow. Yes, it was kind of like a 3rd thing, slight incident here or there, but we're not going to talk about that. I still think it was a good race. From your perspective, I mean, How difficult was that trying to pass that McLaren? Because it looked to me like you didn't have enough speed down the straight.
Definitely. I didn't have enough speed on the back straight or the straights leading up to, I think is it Ingwe and up to Sunset. So I saw that I was a bit quicker in the corners compared to Skitty's McLaren. And I did try and get a run on him, and I think there's a second or third last lap going to Sunset. But unfortunately, I was just a bit too close and tagged him round.
I did see that.
So I thought, yeah, it was just millimeters. So I had to stop and make sure that he stayed ahead of me from that. Unfortunately, Jazz then got ahead of us, and I think he had a bit of an error on the last corner. But yeah, no, I think I kind of tried to set up my car more for the corners because I've never raced front engine car before, and I'm so used to with the MR cars having great turn in, and these are a bit more difficult to like get around the corner. But yeah, it was a good race. I think Skitty, great defense. He was getting a few odd errors, but obviously kept it on a proper defending line, so it made it quite difficult for me to try and get past or barge my way past. But yeah, no, it was a good race nonetheless. I'm quite chuffed with how it went. Just because I was nowhere yesterday with practice, and then come this race and qualifying, I seemed to just be on song.
No, it looked really well. I know you weren't part of race one. You had your journey in your personal adventures. Came back, I guess yesterday from a flight, and then jumped into the rig, smashed a good time, set a good qualifying lap, led the race, ended up third, which is definitely not a bad place and position. Unfortunate for the pit stop scenarios. Great race, man. Absolutely great.
Thank you.
I got a bug, Jazz. Jazz, I hope you're there, man. I really do. I gotta ask the question because it looked to me like between you and Dave, I couldn't figure out who is the Hamilton and who is Bottas. Give me your perspective. Can't get him to speak.
How's it, Sean, can you hear me?
I got you, Fluff. I definitely got you, Fluff. I can't get Jazz to speak though. I don't know what it is. It might be a setting on his end. So let's kick it off to you. 2 race victories. That's a phenomenal start to a series. End all of everything. Now, in all fairness, how did it feel coming down the straight line, knowing that pace is a car behind you and you have open free track?
I must say it was a very uncertain lap when he went into the pits, because I don't know if I pulled out enough of lap times to actually leapfrog him in the pits. So when I came out and he just came out of the pits as I was coming down the straight, I just kind of shouted, "Yay!" Which I also kind of feel bad for, because Mr. Pace, I've got the most respect for this man on circuit. And if there's anybody that I'd like to see winning, it's him. But yeah, if I fight him man on man, I wish him to come second. But yeah, so I have to lie if I say I didn't enjoy passing him as he came out of the pits. But no, he drove phenomenally well in the first half of that race. Very well done to him, man.
I was absolutely shocked. I looked at him and he was literally pulling the gaps on Dave lap by lap, probably about 0.2 of a second. And it looked good. All he needed to do was get that pit stop right, and he should have been ahead of you. Marginally, though, because I think your pit time was slightly slower, because as you came out of the pits, Kitty was right on your tail end. So was it you making a mistake, or was it just Kitty doing a perfect pit stop?
No, I made a mistake because I slightly overshot my pit box. So as I came to a stop, I just bashed it into reversed a couple of mills, and luckily I was on target. So that cost me maybe about a second or so. So and that's what gave Skitty the advantage. But I must say I was very worried as the time counted down to see if Skitty was going to come out ahead of me, because he is phenomenal in the pit stops. and was very, very relieved when we came out basically together. I mean, he was inside my car,
Yeah,
as weird as that sounds,
we
but very chuffed that I came out ahead of him.
definitely noted when you boys went out. I was absolutely amazed, and that's what makes close racing so challenging, because it's not just all about lap times and consistency, but when you sit with races like these, I mean, I still believe your pit entry, pit box, pit scenarios is where it counts. You make a mistake there, you're going to lose it, and tonight I think has shown that in 2 instances. I think you were lucky, which is good because you had a phenomenal race. Sadly, pace was unlucky, and that's how how the cookie crumbles, is what I would say.
No, definitely. It's the luck of the draw in races like these. I mean, anything can happen. Somebody makes a mistake, costs you a lot of time. It's easy to make a mistake on a track that's this wet. So yeah, the slightest mistake will cost you a huge amount of time. And unfortunately, Mr. Pace fell victim to that.
Yeah.
And yeah, even Skitty, I mean, he was close second to me at some stage. Don't know what happened, and all of a sudden, Jazz jumped 2 spots, which shows you, the slightest mistake, and that's what can happen. So yeah, to the guys that didn't make mistakes, absolutely brilliant drives to all of you. And to the guys that did make mistakes, don't feel bad. I mean, it's not very difficult to do, and it doesn't take away from what you achieved tonight. So
Yeah, truer words couldn't have been spoken. It was very challenging. I think this is a big benchmark for the guys to go on Kyalami GT4s. This is probably the wettest GT4 race we've done. So I could physically hear standing water on the track. So it was very, very tricky. So big ups to everyone that finished. I hope I can get Jazz to speak now. Jazz, still not there. Oh, it's gotta be a setting. I don't know what it is, man. I'd love to hear from you. It's absolutely so gutted I cannot hear from you. Thanks again, gents. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I think you guys have got next week Donington in a GT3, which I have to say it's quite tricky.
Can you hear me now?
Ah, Jazz! Yes! Welcome!
Sorry, I got
No.
the settings correct. Sorry.
There we go.
Excuse my voice. As you can hear, I'm not very well.
Neither am I. Neither am I.
Okay, so to answer your question, well, let's put it this way. I knew that Dave had the pace, for sure. I only got my pace like this afternoon when I got home after work.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, it was a tough battle. I'm very disappointed in my qualification. Well done to you and to Fluff and Caleb for that brilliant qualification times. But yeah, no, very difficult race. It was quite difficult. But yeah, I wouldn't say there's a Hamilton and a Bottas between the two of us, between me and Dave. So yeah.
It did look like it. I was commentating on it, and I go like one second you're ahead of him, the next he is ahead of you, and you guys were mixing it up left, right, and center. And eventually I went like, who's gonna take the lead and chase down those people in front? Because it just didn't seem like it was gonna happen. And then unfortunately, Dave got that drive-through penalty, which is one of those things. I mean, too quick into the pits, too fast out. It is what it is. But you got it, man. You snuck in a second position. That is fantastic. Irrespective of how it happened, a win is a win.
Yeah,
Well.
true that. You don't want to win like that or get a second place like that. I was catching up to Pace and Skitty because of their battle. To Fluff at its stage. I think Dave had the quickest lap on a 57.9. So we only got our stride after the pit. I think that's where... while we were racing and one of us makes a mistake, we say, okay, go, you go in front and let's see if we can chase down. So that's why we were interchanging positions. One of us will make a little mistake and the other one will go ahead and see if we can chase down, and then one of us, then so on and so on. So there was no team leading, but yeah, Dave certainly had the pace over me, that's for sure. But yeah, that was a great race, very difficult.
No, it's phenomenal to hear from you guys. I love talking to you guys. I'm probably not the best interviewing individual out there, but I love getting your perspective, and I can relate how it is. It's not going to be easy. I didn't expect Kyalami to be easy. To be fair, I didn't really plan this whole season up, so it's all big ups to Madman Rainmaster that come up with these mad ideas. Next week he's throwing you boys in a GT3 in Donington, and I don't know what else is up there, but. Uh, it's mad. It's absolutely mad. Again, I would say big congratulations, Fluff. Second victory for you. Pace, unfortunately there that you did end up only having a third place. I think second was probably up for grabs if you could get that Chevy right and maybe quick enough down the straight. Jazz, you got second place purely because of a light incident between two individuals, but all in all, great race. Any final words from you guys? I mean, it's open mic. Go for it.
Just to Jazz and Kylan, congrats, guys. You didn't make it easy. Kylan, what you did tonight with that Chevy is unbelievable. I mean, the way the guy spoke about that car and the lap times you got from it, that's just insane. Well done, buddy. And Jazz, yeah, you're always a threat, so always have to look out for you. But congratulations on your second, buddy. Good race, man.
Thank you, Fluff.
Thanks,
I
Fluff.
appreciate it. And Caleb, well done.
Thanks.
Yeah, you guys also, Skitty, Caleb, Fluff, you know, you guys are my targets. I'm new in this, as you all know. Fluff, you're also quite new, and you've picked up. We can talk about days in AC where we used to drive on PlayStation against each other. So yeah, we know each other quite well.
Yes, the good old days in GT6. We had fun.
Thanks, guys, and yeah, just shout out to Skitty again. I think he probably should have been on the podium here instead of myself. But yeah, no, I think things happened, and obviously I'm pretty sure they'll be in the reports, and we'll see what comes of it. But yeah, Fluffs again. I think it's been past 3-4 races, if not here, Outlaws or anywhere else. I think we've been bumper to bumper most of the time. So yeah, awesome for the racing, and same to Jazz. Always breathing down my neck. So yeah, looking forward to the rest of the season, guys.
Kylan, I just want to apologize for that incident where I came flying past you on the inside.
It's not a problem.
A beat. I thought I'm gonna have enough distance to slow the car down, but it was like I was in an ice rink. I just couldn't slow it down. Big ups to you for spotting me and keeping the line open.
It's not a problem.
I almost died there.
I know that exact feeling, brother. I know that exact feeling. It's happened to me many times.
Yeah, but well done in spotting me missing the brake marker, and well done there. Great driving from you, my man.
God, man.
So big ups and big thanks, everyone. And then, of course, big thanks to everyone on the stream. Again, your support is much appreciated. I think we're going to call it a good evening. Next week, same time, kind of the same place. Slightly earlier for me, I think, because our clocks are changing. But nonetheless, same time for the boys in South Africa. We're going to head off to Donington in GT3s. It's going to be epic. We've only started the season, so many things can happen. The question I have is, will Fluffy be as dominant as he's been in the last two races? Is Kyalami Pace going to come back from the rear end and then kick it all the way through, taking the championship again? Is Skitty going to be dominant? Can he get a good race time? And is Jazz going to be the individual that just splits everything up? Don't be shy. Come back. Check us out. Big thanks to the Patreons, and then, of course, big thanks to everyone else. Have a good evening. Good night. God bless. Ciao, ciao. Adios.